Imagine a world where one of America's most vital water sources dries up, leaving millions without drinking water, a power supply, and a once thriving city disappearing into the dust. This is not a dystopian movie plot, but rather the shocking reality that Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States, is facing today. The significance of Lake Mead cannot be overstated, as it provides drinking water and power supply to up to 20 million people. Unfortunately, this critical reservoir is rapidly drying up, which is a cause for concern. While recent changes in global climate conditions have led to the reduction of bodies of water, the declining levels of Lake Mead seem to have deeper causes than just the obvious. In this video, we'll explore the actual reasons behind Lake Mead's drying up, and what this could mean for the millions of people across dozens of states that rely on its existence. As the largest reservoir in the United States, Lake Mead was formed by the Hoover Dam on the Colorado River and spans Nevada and Arizona. It provides electricity to hundreds of thousands of locals. However, due to the current drought in the western United States, it's been rapidly approaching the dead pool level, measuring about 1,040.71 feet during the summer. This year, the lake's water levels were the lowest since the early 1930s, at just 27% full. The amount of precipitation plays a significant role in determining the water levels in Lake Mead, which varies seasonally due to the flow from the Rocky Mountains winter snowpack down to the valley. However, climate change has made it increasingly challenging to predict seasonal weather patterns, leading to the current water crisis. Another factor contributing to Lake Mead's decrease in water levels may be attributed to poor planning of the Colorado River watershed, which took place almost a century ago. In 1922, a deal was made by the states of California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico to regulate the water from the river. They based the river's average yearly flow on a precise number of 15 million acre-feet, determined by flow gauges that had recorded an average of 17 million acre-feet annually since 1890. However, this was an exaggeration due to a wet spell that occurred in the Colorado watershed at the time. The more accurate estimate for the 20th century was 13 million acre-feet. California and Arizona are the largest users of water from Lake Mead, with California believed to draw about 3 times as much water as Arizona, despite both states' efforts to conserve water to safeguard the lake. Additionally, a treaty guaranteeing New Mexico 1.5 million acre-feet of Colorado River water was passed by Congress in 1944. Initially, there were no issues in the early 20th century, as the river flow seemed endless, with everyone having a comfortable buffer in case of a drought. However, in 1956, the Colorado River Storage Project proposed new plans to use the river's water to within a tenth of the anticipated capacity, with an aim to build enormous new infrastructure, encouraging colonization of America's West, similar to its sibling, the 1957 Interstate Highway Project. One possible reason for the decline of Lake Mead is the inadequate planning of the Colorado River watershed. The 1956 Colorado River Storage Project proposed to use the river's water to the anticipated capacity, which would involve constructing new infrastructure, such as dams, reservoirs, canals, and power lines. However, this plan was based on the inflated flow number, and everyone continued to operate with it for 24 years, assuming they were distributing about 16.5 million acre-feet of water annually, despite mounting evidence to the contrary. The discovery of new techniques, such as tree ring analysis and carbon-14 dating, revealed the area's vulnerability to severe droughts and helped researchers track prehistoric climates to ensure the accuracy of their carbon-14 dating. Now, one significant early indicator was the growth rings of a particular small tree known as the bristlecone pine. A type of tree known as bristlecone pine, which can live for over 3,000 years and is found in remote areas of the Southwest, has been used to determine past climates. Researchers analyzed the thickness of annual growth rings in the tree's wood, which are thicker in dry, cool years and thinner in wet, warm years. They compared these patterns to those found in other aged trees across America, and even in older semi-fossilized wood and lake floor sediments. Using computer programs that modeled the variables influencing wood development, they could accurately forecast growing conditions for any place in the American West over the previous 15,000 years. The study revealed that the Colorado watershed experiences long cycles of wet to dry weather, typically an 800-year cycle of dryness followed by wetness and then dryness once more. The wet side of the cycle had been close to its apex around 1922, after which it naturally started to decline. The watershed is currently far into a long-term drying cycle that hasn't yet reached its lowest point, which could have been sustained for a while longer had there not been a drastic increase in consumption from the 1950s through the 1980s. Although the population boom was a logical rationale for expanding cropland and irrigation, most of the land irrigated was not suited for growing staple crops like maize, wheat, or potatoes. Truck crops like tomatoes, lettuce, cucumbers, and spinach were grown instead, with the U.S. government assisting in creating a market for vegetables from the Colorado watershed. The existing grow businesses that hadn't been displaced by California veggies found their best customers nationwide, but the amount of water being consumed was never sustainable, primarily to support superfluous agriculture. Despite this, there's less hunger today than there was in 1950 when there were 2.5 billion people on the planet to feed, thanks to global food production that has kept up. Las Vegas is a city that was purposefully planned without its own water resources, and it's set to suffer the most from the potential devastation caused by the depletion of Lake Mead. While it may seem improbable that Las Vegas will run out of water from Lake Mead, it's highly likely that before 2036, the cost of water will become so expensive that a large portion of the city's population will have to relocate. Businesses will also reduce their operations, and fewer travelers will come to the city. Even before this happens, Las Vegas may have to postpone or halt infrastructure and development projects due to the uncertain future of water availability. Las Vegas has been covertly purchasing water rights from ranches and other sources to eventually import water via a massive pipeline in preparation for the potential effects of Lake Mead's eventual depletion. The situation with the limited water resources has caused tensions with other governments, particularly Lincoln County, as no one wants to give up their own aquifers to supply water to Las Vegas or any other city from a depleting reservoir. Las Vegas has been exploring alternative options, such as a new water intake from Lake Mead that is 135 feet deeper. As a critical component of the region's natural landscape, Lake Mead supports a diverse array of plant and animal species, many of which are uniquely adapted to the specific conditions present in and around the lake. The progressive loss of water from Lake Mead threatens the survival of these species, leading to a decline in biodiversity, disruptions to food chains, and the possible extinction of certain native plants and animals. Additionally, the diminishing water levels may result in the concentration of pollutants and the emergence of harmful algal blooms, which could negatively impact the health of aquatic life and other organisms that rely on the lake for sustenance. The drying up of Lake Mead also has severe implications for human communities that depend on the lake for their water supply, food production, and economic livelihoods. Water scarcity can lead to increased competition for resources, higher water prices, and potential conflicts between states and stakeholders vying for access to the dwindling water supply. Moreover, the agricultural sector, which relies heavily on Lake Mead for irrigation, may face declining crop yields, job losses, and increased food prices as farmers are forced to adapt to less water-intensive crops or abandon their fields entirely. Some experts have suggested that artificial filling of the lake is technically possible, but the cost and manpower required would be too high to carry out. Others propose shutting down truck farms and replacing them with native vegetation as a first step to restoring Lake Mead as a lake. However, the lack of political will and persistent lobbying by water users and land developers in Arizona has prevented any concrete plans from being made. If nothing changes, it's predicted that Lake Mead will effectively dry up by 2030, causing Las Vegas to vanish into the dust. Despite this grim outlook, let us know in the comments if you think anything can still be done to salvage the situation. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe.